Welcome back to the channel. I'm Austin, and it's time for the AK74u versus Milano, discussing which one is the best long-range SMG within Warzone. First, I'll go over the stats, then I'll give you my opinion and tell you the best class setups at the end. We're going to go over the most important stats for SMGs in Warzone. To start off with max bullet velocity, the AK74u comes out ahead with a 1026 to 750 advantage. This is a huge benefit for the AK74u because you want your long range options to have at least a 900 bullet velocity so you don't have to lose your shots or experience bullet drop off in your typical engagements. If we take a look at fire rate, we can see that the AK74u once again will come out ahead with a 696 rounds per minute to 576 advantage. Both of these weapons have a slower fire rate, especially the Milano. This makes them a little less forgiving when you miss shots. Now let's see how much damage these weapons can do. The Milano's average damage at close range is 40 compared to 36.25 for the AK74u. This advantage will hold true at long range as well with a 33.5 to 30.25 advantage. Now if we look at a full damage breakdown, we're going to be taking a look at head, chest, stomach, and limb damage. We can see that both have a similar damage profile where they have a damage drop off from chest to stomach shots. This is more important on the AK74u at close range than it is for the Milano, and we'll get into that a little bit later. This holds true at long range as well. If you can hit your shots on the chest and head, these weapons will perform well. If you mainly hit stomach and limb shots at long range, they will perform a little bit worse. The good news is that only some of your shots will have to hit the chest for them to perform their best. And now for the most likely time to kill at close range, it's going to be the AK74u with 603 milliseconds compared to 675. However, the Milano only takes 7 shots to kill and you can hit any part of the body. This means you can hit 7 limb shots and you'll still get the 675 millisecond TTK. The damage drop off from chest to stomach doesn't affect it, which makes it perform very consistently. The AK74u will take an extra shot to kill at 8, and you need to hit 1 chest shot for this TTK or it will fall all the way down to 690 milliseconds. This makes the weapon a little less forgiving, but it is pretty easy to hit 1 chest shot. Where the AK74u has the advantage is that if you can get 1 headshot, it will lower the TTK to a very nice 517 milliseconds. The Milano can only lower its time to kill by getting 2 headshots, and it drops to 571 milliseconds. Going for headshots is worth it on both these weapons at close range, and before we switch over to long range TTK, let's actually talk about the range of these weapons themselves. The Milano will have a pretty big advantage with a 20 meter range compared to 13.5 for the AK74u. This is a nice benefit for the Milano. Moving on over to long range TTK, these weapons are nearly identical, with the AK74u coming with just the slightest advantage of 776 milliseconds to 779. The Milano will however take 2 less shots to kill with an 8 to 10 advantage. This is significant because the more shots it takes to kill, the more likely you are to miss one. For the Milano to achieve this TTK, you will need 4 chest shots, and with the AK74u, you just need to hit 10 shots anywhere on the body. The AK74u will, however, be able to lower its TTK if you can get 8 chest shots with a respectable 690 millisecond time to kill. And then from there, the AK74u can lower its time to kill once again if you get 2 headshots to 603 milliseconds. The Milano will need you to get 3 headshots if you want to lower the time to kill to 575 milliseconds. I think it's easy to see that the AK74u has more potential but can feel wildly inconsistent, while the Milano, you know what you're going to get out of it. A quick note that will affect only the Milano is that it does have an open bolt delay that I did not include in its time to kills. An open bolt delay just means when you pull the trigger, there's a delay before the gun actually starts firing bullets out. It will be a 58 millisecond delay, giving the AK74u another advantage. The TTKs I gave were if you'd already began shooting. This means it is key to making the Milano perform better to pre-fire. I think the biggest advantage the Milano will have over the AK74u is going to be its accuracy. The Milano is basically just the pocket KRIG, and everybody can aim it easily and effectively, while the AK74u will have a bit more kick to it. Taking a look at damage per mag, the Milano will come out with a pretty crazy 1842 to 1512 advantage. This stat is more important the bigger the mode, making it the most influential within quads, where the Milano will have a pretty big benefit. Switching over to long range damage per second, the AK74u is a bit better with a 333 DPS to 317. Basically, this just means you can have more damage output at long range with the AK74u, and fun fact, a higher DPS just means the weapon will have a better time to kill. Finally, moving over to the movement stats, the Milano will have a quicker ADS, movement, strafe speed, ADS movement, while they have an equal sprint to fire time. I think it is clear to see that the Milano is going to have a huge advantage in mobility. Having superior movement is pretty important during gunfights while shooting and moving from cover to cover. The huge advantage of using SMGs as long-range options is you have better mobility, and when you're chasing someone down, you already have out the weapon that you're going to be firing. If you guys do me a quick favor and like the video, it really helps. Maybe even subscribe as well. Alright, I've given you all the relevant stats for these weapons, and it's time for my verdict. The Milano. This may be a shock as the AK74u does have a better bullet velocity and time to kills up close and at long range, but the Milano's ease of use, consistency, range, and mobility all make it the perfect long range option. If you like to use the KRIG, stop using it now because the Milano is the KRIG but with better mobility and more consistent TTKs. The AK74u is a great weapon that is underutilized, but my favorite way to use it is either as a sniper support or to use it with an LMG. The AK74u with one headshot up close is lethal and can compete with all the best submachine guns. The Milano is completely outclassed at close range, but at long range there aren't many better options within Warzone. It also has good damage per mag, making it viable to use in any mode. I feel like the Milano is a secret weapon to use at long range that is one of my personal favorite go-to weapons. We're going to start off with the Milano, my recommended long range SMG that I think is a big sleeper within Warzone. So we're going to start off by obviously extending the range, and we're going to be using the agency suppressor to do that. It gives us bullet velocity, recoil control, and damage range like I said. So it's the perfect combination to use a sub at long range. Then we got the 10.6 task force. It does add to your recoil, but remember this thing is the pocket KRIG, so it doesn't have too much, and we'll counteract that later on. But we get the extra bullet velocity, which is super important, strafe speed, and damage range. So I think that's by far the best attachment you can use. And then obviously we're gonna have to go with zoomed in optic, and we're gonna be using the axial arms 3x scope. And from there, we always gotta have an extended mag, and I like to use the Stagnag 55 round drum. And then finally at the end, we're gonna use the field agent grip. Even though it doesn't have a lot of recoil, this is just to counteract the task force barrel that we use to get rid of the vertical and horizontal recoil control that we added. And this thing is going to have really good mobility, really good range, and it's going to be super easy to use. Especially after the KRIG just got nerfed, this thing is going to perform much better than the KRIG does, and it's going to feel very familiar. So this is going to be the new weapon of choice for a lot of people. Now we're going to move over to the AK74u, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to have the long range class set up on screen right now. I built it just like the Milano for the last setup, and this is going to be if you want to use it for your 70-80 meter engagements and use it with a close range option. But my personal preference is to use this thing as a sub or sniper support, so I'm going to restart the class, and what we're going to be doing is trying to get these movement stats up, because that's the reason it struggles as a sub, not because of its TTK, it's because of its movement. So we're going to start with the sound suppressor that gets our ADS up and sprint to fire speed, and then when we move over to the barrel, we're going to be trying to increase the strafe speed while getting the effective damage range up more, because its range was only 13.5 meters, so the 10.3 task force is perfect. The recoil control doesn't matter because we're only going to be using it to about 20 meters. Then we're going to go with the Tiger Team Spotlight for movement speed because it was on the very slow end of SMGs. It's better than ARs, but if we want to get it closer to SMG movement speed, we got to go with the Tiger Team. Then we're going to skip an optic and we're going to go over the stock. Either KGB Skeletal or Spetsnaz PKM. I've always been a fan of the Skeletal stock over it because I like to get the sprint to fire time up. And then magazine, we always need more bullets in the mag to get that damage per mag up for the bigger modes, so I'm going to use the Spetsnaz 50 round drum. And if you want this as a sniper support, I get rid of the Tiger Team Spotlight and then throw on a Microflex LED, and then I'd also switch the 10.3 Task Force to the 9.3 VDV, so we still get effective damage range and bullet velocity without affecting our recoil, because if it's a sniper support, we're going to have to use it out a little bit farther. I would say use this SMG with an LMG, and if you want to know which one to use, I'll have a video link on screen now, and then if you want to see a close range option to pair with the Milano, I'll have another video linked right now. Catch you on the next one. Peace.